All right, well, welcome to the weekly prayer update. It is January 24th, and I have a huge prayer request for you this week. I've been wanting to do this for several weeks, but I kept pushing it back because I want to do a video on prayer and language learning and so many other things that came before it. But I'm actually releasing my first podcast episode, our first full-length podcast episode on February 1st, so it's getting pretty close, and so I wanted to make sure to put out my prayer request video before I actually release the first podcast episode. Because like I say about everything, I want everything to be bathed in prayer. This is something that I'm praying about, been praying about, and I'm hoping for you guys to be praying about it as well. Because what I want this podcast to be is basically the missions podcast for people who haven't found their mission yet. So it's for people that maybe they are just feeling anxiety, or they just don't know how they fit into this grand plan of God. Like they haven't found their mission in the Great Commission. And so that's basically where I want to come in, by bringing people on the podcast who have found their niche in the Great Commission and are happy to try to show people how to be a part of it, how to be a part of the grand plan of God, and bringing this hope of the gospel to people who haven't heard it yet. And so that's what I want to be a part of. One, I want to be a part of actually going out and sharing the gospel myself. But if I can bring other people along with me to mobilize other younger people who haven't found their niche yet in the Great Commission, that's something that I want to do. And so like I said on the prayer request, I want to release 12 podcast episodes for this year, just bringing on people from overseas, people from within the U.S. who have already found their niche in the Great Commission. They've already found their mission in the Great Commission. And so basically I'll be asking them questions of like, what was it like when you were church planting in the, jungles of the Amazon? And, what is it like to actually train nationals and how to do church planting? What is it like to do Bible translation for people that have never read God's word before? What is it like to do refugee ministry? What is it like to do so many things that we can be a part of in the Great Commission? So I want to bring on people like that who have already found their niche, and they just want to be able to bring other people along in that as well. And so it's a mobilization podcast. It's a podcast. It's a ministry. It's like basically I want to do a ministry of helping other people find their mission in the Great Commission. And so it's going to be called The Filling Station. That's the name of the podcast. And so it's going to be coming out on February 1st. Feel free to listen to it, but really I'm just asking for prayer for the podcast, and that basically it's going to be geared towards the younger generations, so like millennial and Gen Z people who haven't found their mission yet. It's basically to encourage them to say, you know what, you might be feeling anxiety, depression, or this angst, a feeling of not knowing, what to do with your life. Well, here's a great podcast to help you find a way to get involved with something outside of yourself, something that's not just focused on just pleasing yourself, but actually taking part in the grand plan of what God is trying to do in the world. And so I'm going to try to release 10 more episodes, February 1st, all the way down to December 1st. I guess it's actually 11. But so please be in prayer for this podcast, that it would go well. It's an anonymous podcast, so I'm going to be going by Jay Wesley, and all the missionaries that I'm going to have on are going to be anonymous as well. So if you do share the podcast, just use the Jay Wesley name or whatever, and then the name of the podcast or whatever. So that just keeps it anonymous. So it's really cool in that aspect as well, that we're able to do this. So feel free to pray. I thank you for praying for all these different things that is going on in my life and in the lives of others. And so, but yeah, thank you so much for all of you out there who are watching these videos and just looking to bathe in prayer all of these different things that God is trying to do in the world. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.